We've all had them, these overly nosy neighbors that just seem to insert themselves in everybody's drama in the neighborhood. And it wasn't that long ago that we had a Bert Show listener that was just spying and just so nosy about her neighbors. She was convinced that one of her neighbors was cheating and was determined to get to the bottom of it. And you guys reminded us of this. This is Follow-Up Thursday, and on Thursdays, if there are storylines that you guys don't quite have closure on, you hit us up, and then we do the research on them. Kristen, you remember this one.
We first heard from her on Friday, July 30th of 2021, approximately 6 months ago. I mean, I don't remember it that well. Tommy did the recap for me, so thank you. But here we go. They had moved into a new house just over a year before. They hadn't gotten to know many of their neighbors. They started noticing something strange at the house across the street where a married couple lives. The husband seemed to leave and was gone for several days every other week. The strange part was that every single time he was gone, another car was in the driveway, but it would always be gone before he came home a few days later. They finally saw the person whose car it was. It was another guy about the same age as the couple that lives in the house. She started jumping to conclusions that the wife has a boyfriend that comes over when the husband is gone. Her husband told her to stop creating stories in her head and that they have no way of knowing who that person was. A couple of months later, the blinds in one of the rooms upstairs were left open. It was the couple's bedroom. She saw the strange man without a shirt on walking up to shut the blinds. Fast forward, her husband had started to become friends with the man who lives there. She thought her husband had an obligation to say something. Her husband refused to get involved, but left it in her hands. She had to do something. Other neighbors had even noticed it. She thought it was awful that everyone in the neighborhood knew something that the husband doesn't know, so she decided to speak up. She typed out a note explaining what they had noticed. She also enclosed a picture of the car and the strange man getting out of it. I forgot about that.
What a psycho.
I don't recall that part.
I don't recall that part either, but it happened. She put it in an envelope. One day, the man who lives there pulled out of the driveway and she flagged him down. She walked up to him and handed him the envelope. Why would you type it out if you're going to just hand it to him? You could have handwritten it, whatever. She told him that he needed to read what was inside. He was confused, but she told him it would make sense when he read the note in the envelope. He just drove off and said, okay, so what's happened since? I can't believe we're just now getting a follow-up on this.
That's a lot. Okay.
And the follow-up. Hey, Bert Show. I was hesitant to even reply to your email. I don't want to be accused by my husband for stirring up any drama. I guess that is how it was perceived when this thing all started and I involved you all. I guess I really should have minded my own business. I really did have only good intentions. In my mind, what seemed to be a sweet and lovely man was being cheated on by his wife when he went out of town to earn a living. I guess that wasn't entirely accurate and I should have just minded my own business. Not exactly sure what the last thing I told you was. I did write a note to the man and gave it to him. I told him what I had seen. I didn't hear anything from him. It was a day or two later that I had a knock on my door. It was his wife. She stood there wearing a dress, apron, pearls, and heels. It was almost like an intentional costume because I had never seen her wear anything like that before. She had a chocolate cake with a card on it. I looked a bit surprised.
Where's this going?
She said something like, quote, I just realized you've lived here all this time and I never properly welcomed you to the neighborhood. I baked you something. End quote.
Don't eat it.
Ain't no way. I thanked her and felt obligated to invite her inside. I was also really nervous and confused because I had just given the note with my observations to her husband.
Oh, boy.
She declined to come inside and went back home. I went inside and opened the card that was with the cake. I still have it. It said, quote, I don't know what kind of neighborhood you think you moved into, but in this one, we mind our own business.
Ooh.
My husband is aware of what happens in our house when he is home and when he is not home. Not all marriages look the same. I'd appreciate if you stayed out of mine. End quote. So,
Nice.
I guess what works for them is fine with me. And I'm sorry for having jumped to conclusions. So that was it. Neither of them have spoken to me since then. It actually feels really awkward, and I can't wait for us to eventually move.
Wow.
I hate being afraid. I'm going to see them every time I go outside.
Well, you're the one that created it.
Yep.
That said, I guess it's my fault.
There we go.
Lesson learned. Mind your own business.
First step is admitting it.
Yup.
And I don't care how nice that letter was. We've all seen The Help, right? And the pie.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I am not eating any of that thing.
Oh, that went into the trash immediately.
Yeah. I mean, so this ended up pretty much like we thought it would, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because, again, like these assumptions, just because you see something doesn't mean it's what you think it is. And she seriously should have minded her own business. Especially this is like neighbors that they don't even know. Like haven't even had dinner at each other's house. Hadn't even invited. No.
Mind your
Absolutely.
business.
Yeah. She got what she deserves.
I was just going over this in my head, and I don't know if it's better or worse to not know who the nosy neighbor is, because in my neighborhood, I there's got to be one. I just don't know who it is. Would you rather know or not know?
I've always known, and I'm glad I did know.
If you know you are the nosy neighbor.
Maybe it's coming from within the house.
The Bert Show.